this new system that we're using right now, it's just like it tells you and go. Well,
Oh,
welcome back to another episode of Waking the People. I'm your host, Sir Chad Everett Brochures, and I am joined with the man that even Prince would sing about. He is your patriot, my Kraken, Joshua the McClendon.
I
Now,
know it's been a minute, Chad. I kind of miss that girl though. I feel like that's what started the episode. Recording started. It just like jumped us into gear, and that's how you knew it was showtime. It's good to see you guys again. Chad and I have been very busy. Um, Chad has been pumping out some serious videos on his other channel called "Growing Up in the Wild Suburbia." If you have not checked that out, please do. Always been a fan. That show actually kind of started this show, so definitely go check that out. Been a busy week, right? We got all kinds of stuff going on: politics, economic, social media. It's just another day in the clown show, I guess you could say. It's something's always coming out, Chad. And yeah, we've been busy. We were on a streak there where we were pumping out like 2 videos a week, and I hope that one day we can get back to that. But it's just going to be what time looks like. So I thank you to all of our subscribers that have continued to watch, even when we've kind of been maybe a little bit lower on the video volume that we were beforehand. So that really shows us dedication. I got some Easter eggs for y'all today. I got some stuff that I'm going to tell you guys that's going to help you out. And I normally don't tell people this stuff, but I'm going to tell you, you beautiful subscribers, if you have not yet subscribed, please hit that button. Please pound that bell, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. Chad and I we greatly appreciate it big time.
yeah, treat the like button like a tender date. So, yeah. Well, there is a lot that is going on, and due to current circumstances with both of our jobs and other things going on, including our personal life, there has been quite a bit that we've missed. So we're also playing a little bit of catch up with this. So I have found out I've a little bit in passing, but I've really gotten into a lot of Jordan Peterson's work over the last month and a couple of days, just because of some stuff that I'm working through and working on. So if I don't come to the show with a significant amount of what's going on in politics and or the country or hell even the world, know that there's a lot on the other side. So I still plan on bringing plenty of content though. So with that, Jack Dorsey steps down. We think that Twitter is actually going to get better. And immediately, the guy that's actually running Twitter, the new CEO, has decided to become worse than Jack Dorsey with the censorship.
Why did he shut down? Do you know? I saw that like in a news article. I thought it was like a TMZ fake thing that was going on. So he actually did step down as the CEO of Twitter.
Yeah, that's the news. He stepped down, and they've appointed another guy. It's a guy from India. I'm pretty sure he's from India, who is now the new CEO. And immediately he was talking about the rights of freedom of speech and the necessity for censorship. So, yeah, Dorsey was already bad enough. Now this guy's going to come in and actually probably be umpteen times worse. But my hope is that the same thing was prior to President Trump taking office in 2016. Twitter was a dying media. And as far as I'm concerned, it can die because it is the worst of the echo chambers. It's just vile nonsense that's spewed through there. So I'm hopeful. I think that it would do humanity a service by no longer existing. Unfortunately, the people that are currently there, they will spread out and do whatever they're going to do, but hopefully maybe people will get them trained back to normal reality. But, yep, that's the case so far with the old Twitter. I don't know about you, Josh. I don't mess with Twitter. I don't give a damn about it. I've never really liked it. It always seemed like it was a little too it just seemed too shallow across the board for me.
So. Yeah, I mean, I have one. I've never used it before. I think I have like one tweet I've ever sent out in the history of my Twitter account. Some people use it for news. Some people use it for to keep up with like the latest social media gossips or I guess for all kinds of things. But I'm with Chad. I mean, I'm surprised that Jack Dorsey, left. I'd like to know why. I think there's something probably going on. Maybe Chad knows why, but I feel like there's something going on for him to kind of just step away. He was one of the founders of it too, right? So he kind of helped create it. So you would think someone stepping away from essentially their baby, that there's got to be something going on to why they would do that. But yeah, I've always been more of an Instagram person. I just thought Twitter was for people that were like, kind of famous. I thought it was more like echo chamber is a good analogy of it. I thought it was for anyone who had a decent following anywhere. They would go to Twitter and just it'd be another extension of their social interaction with their followers or people that look at their account. But yeah, it wouldn't bother me if Twitter went away. I have enough social media in my life. I do. I don't have a TikTok account. I refuse to get a TikTok account. I probably am on Instagram too much. I think that the less social media you have in your life, the better. So yeah, if Twitter goes down the drain and it's kind of on its way, there's always gonna be something new. Like now it's TikTok. So there'll be something after TikTok. Eventually that the old cows get put out in the pasture. Eventually, and I think Twitter will be one of those cows here in the not too distant future.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm good with it. Mosey that little bad boy on out there and let it just get underneath the tree and just fall out of existence. No, we'll find a skeleton later. Yeah. So yeah, Dorsey stepped us down. Let's see. Maxine Waters, or not Maxine Waters, damn it. Gillian, Maxine, whatever. Jeffrey Epstein's
Oh yeah.
girlfriend. Yeah.
Jazine Maxwell or something. Maxwell.
Yes, thank you. Jesus, I can't even speak today. Yeah. So that trial is going on. Here we had Kyle Rittenhouse with all of the lies of the media, and if you watched it and you think the media is telling you the truth, I've got a Golden Gate Bridge in here in my backyard, and I am willing to sell it to you for a lot because you're gullible shit. Yeah, they pumped that stuff through every device they could possibly get it into. It's like it was all over the place. It was everything that we could possibly get. There were protesters, there's everything. And now we actually have a very high profile case being seen that's going through court right now. And it has some of the worst of the worst. I mean, pedophiles. We've got people that, that there's a ledger with people that have gone to Epstein's Island. There's historical values, like things that they did when they were there, according to Gillian, whatever her name is.
Maxwell. I don't know how to pronounce her first name. I know her last name is Maxwell.
Miss Maxwell. We'll go with that. Miss Maxwell. Yeah, and it's like some of the worst things. If you can imagine a child, like if you have a child and your child was actually, put into that situation, you probably would want to, end somebody's life. And here we are, they won't even put it on television. It's not even put out to let people know that the case is going on. The media is practically silent on it. So,
yeah, it doesn't fit their agenda. It doesn't fit what they're trying to show, which, it shouldn't surprise us at this point. The media's job is not to give you the news, right? That's not really their job. Their job is to keep you entertained. CNN, constantly negative news. It's just it's the same story from like 2010. They've just changed it, for 11 years. There's nothing good. Like, for example, that school shooting that just happened not too long ago. A football player at that high school actually charged the school shooter to save his classmates, and the young man passed away. He died because of him trying to save his classmates. And you know how I found out about it, Chad? Barstool Sports. Okay, that's how not Fox, or I haven't watched Fox today, but none of the main MSNBC, CNN, didn't see any coverage about a story about a guy who literally sacrificed himself for his fellow peers to try to stop a school shooter. I mean, that's the kind of stories that I think people need to see. We don't need to always see the most negative or the most vile or a certain agenda that's trying to be pushed. Let's look at all the news. There's a lot of good things happening too. on almost every aspect of society that never gets any freaking coverage.
Well, something I want to point out with the school shooting. Why don't we know much about it?
Not a thing.
Now, had it been, some suburban child, some, Caucasian boy going into the school to start shooting it up, we'd hear about it all over the place. I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know the identity of the shooter. Really, I don't know much about it. I saw videos on the other side, like kids in the classroom. I heard of somebody supposedly was a police officer on the other side of the classroom door and asking the teacher to open the door so that the officer could come in, and the teacher wouldn't open the door for him. And you can hear the guy talking on the outside of the door in the hallway, asking and saying, "Hey, just let me in. The shooter's not here. You're all clear." And then the teacher says, "No, I really, we don't feel safe to do it." And the person says, "Just open the door and look at my badge, bro." Like, yeah. Why is none of that actually out there? And the reason for it is that it doesn't support the narrative, the agenda. So they want specific things that only fit. So I think it is horrifically dishonest. It is a bigger picture issue. It's not about the school shooting. It has a lot to do with more than that, in my opinion. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I'm not going to throw my opinion out right now. Aside from, I just believe that it has to do with a lot more than just the one event. But same thing. Look what happened. Remember the Colorado shooter? Immediately, like as soon as that thing happened at the shopping center in Colorado, and they're like, "Oh, it's a Trump supporter. It's a crazed MAGA. It's a white supremacist," and it turns out it was a Muslim guy, and then they shut up.
Mm-hmm. Or the Vegas shooter.
Yep.
He was a Democrat. You haven't heard one damn thing about that since the day it happened.
Wow.
And that's sketchy too. I mean, if you go back and look at that shooting, I've seen so many videos of that shooting when it first happened, and you can see multiple gunshots coming from that building. I mean, you can see them all over the building. I'm not a conspiracy person, but I watched the damn videos, and you can see muzzle fire. And they're trying to say it was one shooter. Multiple reports of like people in all black, like running away from the building after it's happened, and they got into the room and apprehended the guy, like running down, like people just who looked like they weren't running from a gunman, right? Just running to flee the scene. He had like 600 guns in his room and like thousands and thousands of rounds of ammo. It was all kind of sketchy. And there's plenty of incidences that go on that probably should be looked into a little bit more and don't. And I do agree with Chad that probably a lot of it has to do with the fact that there may be some other hidden agendas that most mass media companies don't want to project onto their subjects, I guess you could say.
Yep. No, it's as long as you keep the narrative intact, you can pretty much go wherever you want with it. You can start guiding and turning it over time, but it seems like this narrative just it's only for what fits and what facilitates their overall agenda. And when I say their overall agenda, I do mean more of the Democratic Party. Is it the entirety of it? It looks that way, but I don't know. But I can tell you this: if they can establish a position of power where they never get out of it, they damn sure will. So you say something about term limits, and they're going to lose their shit. Because there should be term limits. But
oh yeah,
you know what? There's all kinds of things that we're not allowed to say anymore. So who knows? In the next couple of years, they'll go back, they'll find these videos and remove them from public access, or hold them against Joshua and I.
Possibly. And I don't even think they're Democrats, Chad. I've been reading this book, which is one of the Easter eggs that I want to give our viewers. I'm only like a third through it, so I can't say that I've read it, but just from what I've read, it's called American Marxism. And if you have not read it, or at least started to read it, highly recommend it. You will not be let down. So I think that the people that are doing right now on like mass media, a lot of like, influencers, sports athletes, they actually don't know what they're signing up for. I don't think that progressives, I guess we could say, are actually Democrats at all. I think there are still some moderate Democrats out there, but I
Mhm.
actually think that progressivism now, currently, and people who identify as progressive are actually, they don't know, they're more Marxist than anything else. I mean, if you really look at some of the stuff that they try to promote and some of the language they use and the propaganda and the, what they lead the people that follow them to think they're trying to do, but when in reality, what they're actually doing, like, this whole utopia idea, it really does. When you really look at it, it looks a lot more like Marxism than it does being a Democrat. And
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
Chad.
I see it as and far extremism, and and I've said many times, and I'll say for a long time coming, is socialism is the bill of goods, communism is the reality. Now, socialism is everybody's going to have enough, and they're all going to be equal, and it's a very fair society. And the communism is we own you, and we'll tell you what you're allowed to have. So, yeah. You tell me one country that actually has successful communism where the people are free and they love their life, and I will tell you, you've been reading too many of the left's literature, because it doesn't exist. Now,
No.
North Korea is a very communist country, and it is locked away. So anyway, yeah, I can see a lot of that happening. We just had in the House, we had 80 Republicans vote to support the what is that? The vaccine infrastructure bill. That is a bill that would give access to where insurance companies would give access or information to the government to let people know people's status for vaccination. No, there's more to it than that, but it's a structure they're putting together that will start reducing opportunities for people that do not comply with vaccines. So it's gonna likely get really scary if we don't, as a united country, stand up against this. Uh, it's insane. They're pushing the new variant that's come out of Africa, and even for the person that discovered it, her reply to it was that it is insane how people are already blowing it way out of proportion. This one has lower symptoms of pretty much everything, according to the scientist that's found it. Um, that you may have increased heart rate, um, but there's not a whole lot. It's not like the first variant. So, and they're saying that supposedly there's a COVID-22 coming on the horizon. I like if you're that into fear porn, the issues that happened with my brother is when he caught it, he almost died, but that was because of selective medical care, not about the fact of whether or not he had and his immune system could fight it off. They refused to treat him properly, and that's a federal mandate on the medical establishment of who was allowed to actually receive specific treatment. And he's in Pennsylvania. Another friend of mine who has an amazing immune system, she came down with COVID, and she said that it really did kick her butt pretty well. And she was surprised how bad it got her. I've come down with it twice and didn't even know I had it. Now, antibody test will tell you whether or not you have. So, yeah, it affects everybody a little differently. That's why it's also very suspicious, especially to the degrees that it affects everybody. But natural virology and the process of viruses as they evolve typically become less lethal, but they may become more infectious, but far less lethal. So it's a trade-off. Virus gets to live longer because it doesn't kill its host, but it also gets to become more communicable. So it's a natural process of viruses predominantly. So, uh, yeah,
Yeah.
I think they've got accustomed and comfortable with the state of fear, and they don't know what to do. And it went from one person being Chicken Little to being cities full of Chicken Little.
Yeah, it's just the viruses don't go away. It's not like this thing is just going to vanish. It will always be new variants. There's a few things on this earth that don't die, and two of them are cancer cells and viruses. You can keep those suckers in petri dishes, and they will live for as long as you keep them there. Like they will just live. And this is going to continue to grow. Fear porn's a great analogy. Eventually, guys, we got to keep moving with life. I mean, this thing is not going away. And every time I turn on the TV, there's a new COVID variant. Next segment, economy still battling from government shutdowns. It's like y'all make up your mind. Which one do you want? Do you want to shut everything down and continue to put ourselves in this economic shithole that we're finding ourselves in, that everyone is going to feel here in the not too distant future? Or do we want to, just carry on and say this is going to be part of our existence now? People get sick. You have to try your best to eliminate your chances of being sick if you are at risk, and just live life. We have a lot of making up to do from these last 2 years. A lot. I think more than people think, Chad. And inflation is on the rise. We got a shortage of everything. We couldn't find propane this weekend to save our life in some places. It's just everything is almost hard to find, and prices are going up. You go to Wing House, you see that you got market price for chicken wings. That's what it says. 10 wings, Chad.
Yeah.
It's market price. They're chicken wings, and we got to. It's blowing my mind. So we got to start just pushing past this and say it's going to be a part of our life. If you want to get the vaccine, great. If you don't, great. Do whatever you want, and take your vitamins. Try to exercise, get in sunlight. Do the best things that you can do for your own personal health. And don't worry so much about what's on the TV, right? You can, if you know you're at risk, stay away. If you're not at risk, just carry on.
Yeah. It's the ultimate thing. When you seem to lack purpose, you do seem to like to get into other people's business. And I can tell you that a lot of people that lack purpose are all up in everybody else's business. I've heard people say within one paragraph state that Medicare for all is a right and that we should all have it, and then say that anybody who refuses to get the vaccine should be denied medical care. And I'm like, I don't understand how the hemispheres of your brain do not communicate with each other, because it's the only thing that makes sense about you not being able to put those things together. It's in the same freaking paragraph. But that's what brainwashing does. That's what the science of brainwashing, that's what it's all about. It's to get people it gaslights people to the point where logic no longer matters, and logic doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense is what they tell you. And that's sad, but that be the case. So yeah, I've heard people say that. It's as ridiculous as I had when I was working at the previous gym, there was a woman that came up, and it was right after it reopened after COVID, and she walked over and she pulled her mask down as she got within feet of me and said, "You see that guy over there walking around on his phone? He doesn't have his mask on. And he's not even paying attention when people walk by. He just walks in front of them and walks past them without his mask on." And I'm like, you're within 2 feet of me and you pulled your mask down. What are you, fucking Biden? Do you think you just, what the hell? So that threw me off a little bit, but that's what I'm growing to expect out of certain educated individuals. And what I mean by educated individuals is where they're educated from. If they're educated from the news, then I've already got a pretty good idea that if they're not doing more research, I use the news as a way of understanding what other people are hearing, and then where I need to start looking for information. But I'm not looking for information in the sources they're telling me. Typically, I'll try to find it elsewhere, because it's just stupid what people are willing to believe. To see what's going on. Predominantly the people that get COVID and if they die, it's simply because of pneumonia. But now we have people dying of heart attack and blood clots, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well that's something we're not going to talk about, or that's COVID related." It's like, Jesus Christ, man! It really takes a dropper of skepticism to say, what the hell is going on? So anyway, interestingly not fired up, but I am. I'm just exhausted, so you'll have to bear with my energy levels this evening in this episode. So, but anyway, I'll stop going on about my little tangents here and throw it back over to Joshua.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's Chad. It's been a long day for us, and I'm sure everyone else watching. We appreciate you guys watching, but what will get you fired up, Chad? Is a little sports gambling. I need to get you into some sports gambling. I got to get you into sports. Football is like probably halfway done as far as the season goes. We got the playoffs going. So one of the things I've gotten into, guys, since our last meeting is sports betting. So I've been doing mainly the fantasy sports like FanDuel, DraftKings. Been winning and losing. Had a big win this weekend, relatively for me. I've only been doing it for like a few months. But now in the state of Florida, whereas it's so DraftKings and FanDuel are technically almost like poker. They're considered skill games because it really is a skill. I mean, there's a percentage of luck that you cannot control as far as winning and losing, but you do have to put quite a bit of effort into picking players and doing your research and the other factors that go into it. But now in the state of Florida, you can just sport bet straight up. So the Hard Rock, the Seminole Hard Rock, not too far away from Chad and I, is a casino in the area, and they have their own sports book now. So you can bet in the state of Florida online, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't really use it too much. I find that I've won a couple times on there, but I feel like as far as the risk versus reward on that app is a lot higher than it is for like FanDuel or DraftKings. For example, like if I bet today on the Saints, they're playing right now, the Cowboys. If I bet the Saints to win, I put $5 on it. Maybe I could win like $11. You wouldn't win much money. Whereas on FanDuel, I'm playing in a lineup right now where first place gets $30,000. So it's Sundays you can do FanDuel. I'm going to do the main slate, and first place gets $1 million. So you have to bet a little bit more money now. Obviously, your chances of winning are much smaller because you're in a giant pool of people. But I can see how people would be pulled towards more the conventional betting. It's a little more straight up, a little less work. You can look at simple things like the over under, right? Is it going to be more? Is it going to be less? Who you think's going to win? Who think's going to cover the spread? So it's fun. I don't know if they're going to bring Chad like any more other games to the online betting. Maybe they'll make online poker, legal in Florida. That would be fucking amazing. I wish they would do that. I miss the online poker days. But yeah, so it's cool. I think it's gonna be good for the state. We're gonna make some money. The Indian tribes or the Native American tribes, I'm already slipping up, are gonna do great. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Have you placed a bet yet, Chad?
I have not. I've placed a bet that I will be asleep by 10 o'clock tonight. That's the last
What's the over under on that?
Right now, it's really looking like I'm going to be under 10.
Under 10. Yeah. I'll take the over.
Yeah.
I'll bet your first bet, Chad. We'll call the Hard Rock and get it set up. I think it's going to be the over. You're going to stay up. You're going to bet at 10:03 today.
Yep. That's the Hard Rock needs to get their cut of whether or not I'm in bed.
I tell you, the Hard Rock is fun. I mean, we're lucky. I don't know if Chad, do you like to gamble at all? Are you a gambling guy, or every once in a while?
I'm not that. No. The only gamble I ever have is whenever I have a beef burrito.
Okay. Hey, that's pretty good odds, though. You never know. Where from? Like what beef burrito?
Last one that I actually played the biggest gamble was Taco Bell.
I had it today.
So,
I knew you were going to say Taco Bell.
Yep. But the other ones go to a pretty decent place. It's just like I think I'll be okay here. Go to Taco Bell and you're like, yeah, I'm feeling a little packed up, and I didn't want to stop and get a laxative, so
this is the next best thing, boys. Yeah.
Hopefully they don't try to sponsor our show.
I would love
it.
Or
if they do, I'm just gonna give it to
them. I would love it. Yeah, the Hard Rock's fun. I mean, it's a good time. They got some good restaurants in there. I really don't eat too much when I go. Most of the time, but before, like, I'll go in the poker room. That's really only the game I like to play. I like to play Texas Hold'em. I feel like it's the most, skilled game. You can practice at it and get better at it, whereas opposed to slots. I think a lot of those machines are rigged in there. I think that they're meant to hit on a certain amount, and once they hit, they kind of take them out of rotation. But they got some good restaurants. I wish they had some live craps tables. I really like craps. Craps is a fun game, but it can be a good date night. I mean, sometimes we just go there and just walk around and just look at stuff. The horse track, Chad, on the other hand, now Tampa Bay Downs. I think this is the opening weekend. I'm going Saturday to the racetrack. That's a lot of fun. So there's a lot of kind of gambling stuff in Florida that I'm wondering if that's going to become a more nationwide thing, or is that going to continue to be isolated more so in the areas that have the Native American reserves, because that kind of gives them that ability, which I think is a great thing. Part of a big pushback on this sports gambling thing is that the Native American tribe, the Seminole tribe, was afraid that there was going to be some bigger companies that came in and kind of took over, their market as far as their casinos go. And I think they were able to fend them off, which I kind of agree with. I think they've done a very good job with their casinos. I'm pretty sure the one in Fort Lauderdale is on an Indian reserve as well, because that's also a Hard Rock. So all the Hard Rock casinos, not sure if they're all on Indian reserves, but the Native Americans have done a great job with their casinos. So I'm excited. Didn't place any bets on the Hard Rock tonight, but I will definitely be going back soon, Chad.
Well, last time I went to the Hard Rock, my friend got thrown out. So I've got that story. It wasn't a date night. It was a guy's night. And it was he and I. And he decided he was going to go and show off his dancing skills after he had probably 2 or 3 drinks more than is suitable for public. And and when I came over to his rescue, he was like, "You're with him, you're out too." So that's how I get kicked out of places, by the way. No, I got to take it back. There was one time I was kicked out of a place called the Castle in Tampa.
Oh, I know that. In Ybor?
Yep. I got kicked out of there one time. So you got to really be an asshole to get kicked out of that place.
Oh, yeah.
No, they didn't appreciate my style of dancing. And I'll tell you this for everybody who's like hanging onto a cliffhanger. Just think if you gave an orangutan a Red Bull.
Were you like moshing in there? You're just moshing, taking people out?
Just like a fucking.
That is a hard place to get kicked out of. I mean, for God's sakes, they got a whipping post. You can sign up and get like your ass whipped in there with like a real bullwhip. I'm not kidding. Like they will slap the shit out of you if you want them to do it. How did you get kicked out of for dancing? What, did you run into somebody?
No. I think it was they could see my sarcasm in my dance.
Oh, jeez. It's a scary
I was sarcastically dancing. Yeah. Which, thanks for reminding me. You actually can go there and see some pretty interesting things. So I guess I know what I'm doing next weekend.
Okay.
Anyway, so on to and Hell Came With Them. Now, it's a good segue to the Hell Came With Them. The reason why I titled the episode that is because of this push that the vaccine mandate has. In California, you now have to tell people, so they're really pushing In-N-Out Burger on having their cashiers ask the patrons whether or not they're vaccinated. To see their status or whatever, to check their cards. If that doesn't tell you more of what's coming. New York, California, New York's already started that with their Excelsior Pass. Fucking idiots. And then in California, with the now that they're pushing their own little mandate thing, so you need to show that in order to patronize certain places. And In-N-Out Burger refuses. They're standing their ground, which I commend them. They don't want to be, pushing government policies and things, so they refuse, and they've been shut down. But they're still operating. They had some news anchor jackass go out and try to do a little gotcha piece on them, which just walked in and nobody's wearing masks and they weren't asking for ID, asking for vaccine passports. So, and they're like, and yet, one person agrees with the company. It's like, you shut the fuck up. There's a whole lot more than one person that agrees with the company. You're just trying to minimize it to make other people feel like, oh, everybody else feels this way, so it must be okay. We really should show vaccine passports in order to do things. Like, I don't. What the fuck is happening, man? That's all I got to say. It's insane. So hell comes with them. And how hell comes with them is we are going, there's only so far that there's a certain population this country is going to tolerate. And at some point in time, that population is going to break. It's just done. Like, I'm already, like, I've registered to help with Republican governor in the state of Florida because I'm done. I'm done with this nonsense. So I will be helping spread awareness. I'm in. Joshua, I know he's getting political as well with that side of things. We're in, we're in to make sure that, it's through the legal voting process that we make sure people know that where we stand and what we will and won't tolerate. And for everybody in the state of Florida right now who feels that Ron DeSantis is doing a bad job and they'd rather see somebody else run the state, like Nikki Fry or that other shitty politician that got in a lot of trouble after he lost the election. Yeah, you guys can go ahead and get the fuck out of this state. There you go.
Yeah, it's just
How's
the
that?
homeland.
Yep.
I mean,
Maybe that should be like, maybe I should run for a political seat and that would be my ad. Like, yeah, if you don't agree with the way of actually enjoying the state of Florida as a free country kind of place, then you can just get the fuck out. I am Chad Brocheers, and I approve this message.
it'd be a great slogan. I'd probably vote for you. Yeah, so Chad and I are going to be helping out Governor Ron DeSantis next year. Really looking forward to it. Actually, I really hope I hear back from him soon. Really excited about that. There's a lot that's coming up, Chad. That's actually what I got a little bit of info on for this show as far as the 2022 elections. And there is a lot, ladies and gentlemen. It is not just going to be a little year. It's going to be a big year. So I've written down some of the kind of key states that I think that are up for in both, predominantly the Senate and governors that are going to play a big role in kind of how things shape out next year. Everyone gets really excited about the presidential election. Don't get me wrong. Like the presidential election day for me is like the Super Bowl. Like it is a holiday. And I really enjoy election day. And I'm glad that everyone gets really excited for the presidential elections. But, state elections, whether it be, House representatives, state, senators, governors, mayors, all that plays a big role as well. Probably more so than the president does. And one of those positions is the governor. So a lot of key states, Chad, here coming up with some governor re-elects. Number one, California, baby. Gavin Newsom is up for re-election. And I think the last time California was red was when Ronald Reagan, was the governor, ran for president. He was the governor too, wasn't he?
I don't know that one.
I got to look it up. Last time a Republican won, at least when I remember, was when, it was when Reagan ran for president. But I want to look and see who was the governor too. Obviously, we have Florida. Ron DeSantis is up for re-election. That's going to be a battleground state, so to speak. I would love to see California switch red, but I don't think that'll ever happen. Georgia, not too far away. Mr. Brian Kemp, that is going to be a rough one. I would love for David Perdue to run for governor. I don't know if anyone would vote for him. Don't know if he's interested in doing it, but I would love to see that. Massachusetts. Chad, did you know I went to Boston probably 2 months ago? I think I'm going again next weekend. I loved Boston. It was when I hate going to the north. And that sounds really bad. I don't like New Jersey. I don't like New York. I don't like to go to those places. Boston, I loved. I loved it. And what do you know? They've had a Republican governor for the last 4 years. I wonder why I liked it so much. So a Republican governor is he's running for re-election. Charlie Baker. So really excited about that. I would love to see him win Massachusetts again. I think he's done great things with that state. And also, just to kind of let Chad get a little snip in here and give me some of his thoughts, I got Nevada. Nevada's up for re-election in there. And with all this craziness that's going on and this, progressive stuff that's been, really sweeping headlines and getting people, even I think that are more considered, moderate Democrats a little pissed off. I wouldn't be too surprised if Nevada switched over red with all this, inflation fear and mass spending with all this Green New Deal stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if Nevada turned around and went Republican. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a clean slate on all three of those states go Republican.
Yeah, I actually don't have a whole lot to say about that. I would be surprised if they didn't go red. So how much can people really take
Yeah.
before they finally get tired of, like I see what's on the news, but I also see what's going on in these other places. I can't, it just doesn't make sense anymore. It's all it takes is, go to the wrong rally and get attacked simply because you decide not to dress the way that, the group dressed. You show up and make it, just have somebody else claim that you did something wrong and see what happens. All it takes is just you to get attacked once, your house to get burnt down or whatever when these protests and things go through, because that seems to be what these politicians like to do, is fan the flames to get that stuff to happen. Specific key politicians. I don't know. I couldn't see people willingly continue to subjugate themselves that way. But then again, we're talking about it for a reason, and we've got this far. So hopefully people wisen up. It's when the shelves are empty, whenever the gas pumps are too expensive, and when the jobs are too scarce, and your ability to move around is restricted simply because you haven't had the most current booster, then maybe people will wake up. Or maybe not. No. Orwell would be sitting back in the corner of the room right now going, "Told you, motherfuckers."
I'm trying to see if
Ronald Reagan was the 33rd governor of California.
I figured he was. I knew he was the governor, which he was a Republican, which is absolutely mind blowing to think now that a Republican was ever the governor of California. It's probably when California was doing really good. I knew he won it when he ran for president, when he kind of just destroyed and just took over almost every state. I was looking to see if Caitlyn Jenner was going to be running for Republican governor. I guess she decided that she was not going to do it. I don't see her name on the list as far as one of the possible candidates. Quite a few Republicans, some independents thrown in there. A lot of people, though. A lot of people put their name, put their name in the hat, so to speak, as far as wanting to run for that seat, which I think is awesome. I think this is the big thing too. This is a new idea. We have to, when you vote for someone, both as a voter and as someone running, the qualifications to hold public office are less than you think. You do not have to be, you don't need a degree in political science. You don't need to be a lawyer. You don't need to be, don't need to be, but it helps. You don't need to be, well off as far as wealthy or rich. But we need to start putting people into office who actually represent not only the communities they serve, in this case, we're talking about governors, so the state that they serve, but people who understand what it's like to live in states and communities. Not just what it's like to look at it from a bird's eye view and say, I can fix this, right? Which is great. If you can fix it, great. But we need the everyday guys to start, and girls, to start stepping up and putting their name in the hat. I mean, a great example was not too long ago. There was I believe it was a state senator from New Jersey. Chad and I talked about in one of the episodes, who was a truck driver, and he won. Like, his campaign amount of money was $300. And I want to see more of that. That means that guy had nowhere near amount of money to spend as some of these other candidates as far as campaigning going. And he won solely based on what he said and what his goal was for that community. That's what I want to see. I want to see more of that. It's not only just up to the people who want to run, but it's up to the people that live in that community to step up and actually start taking action and helping those people get in and understanding what elections mean for your community, and not just stand on the sideline and just think that things are going to change if I just ignore it. It's up to literally all of us. That's the whole point of elections, and that's the whole point of why we do things in this country. And I want to see the everyday person step up, Chad, both to vote and if they so choose to run and try to represent their community. So I'm glad to see so many different candidates in all these different states that are choosing to step up from a multitude of different parties and try to make their mark and try to help out their states.
Yeah. No, I'm. What's fascinating about it is, like, back when we really formulated this type of government, Congress people, senators, uh, they didn't make it their career. They made it their duty. So they would go do whatever they had to do, wherever they were meeting to do to work on bills, to discuss things, and then they would go back to their farms or they go back to the manufacturing or whatever it was that they did professionally. They were not professional politicians. That means that they were salt of the earth kind of people. They made their decisions as far as how they were going to vote based off of the life that they had to actually work inside of in their real life, not their political life. So their professional life, not their political life. So, and after they served, they didn't want to keep serving because it was a burden to do so. So they would obviously, after doing a term or two, they were done. Now we have it that it's cushig. Congress has their own health insurance. You can't get their health insurance.
Mm-mm.
And once they've served the terms necessary, they have that for life.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they have their salary for life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when you allow somebody who writes the rules to write their own paychecks and their own rules. It's insane. That's corruption. So yeah, you're going to get people that are like, you know what? It's one of the cushiest gigs you'll ever have. You'll make enough money, in the beginning until people start giving you more, which lobbyists should not be legal. They should not be allowed to go and, persuade, these politicians to vote in specific ways. That's obviously a conflict of interest because it's big business's interests, not the people. But we don't give a shit. Apparently, it's the people. And if you try to fight it, you're fighting against everybody else who's gotten comfortable with it, or that started off with the good ambitions and then just became corrupt over time. There's all kinds of issues. So what do we do about it? Well, the only choice we have is to fight it. So, and how we need to fight it is we just start getting talk about this stuff, fight it with your votes, fight it with public awareness. Yeah. It's, to me, it's insane. So.
All the while, Trump did it for fucking free, but then he's crazy. A lot of people forget he didn't take $1. I think he had to take $1, literally, but he did it for free. Being president for Trump actually cost him money.
Yep.
So
he donated his salary.
He donated his salary, and that was just for most of the people in America that just went right over their heads. It's like, what are y'all talking about? Like when George Washington, when he didn't want to be president. He didn't. They were like, we want you to be president. He was like, I really don't want to do this shit, guys. They're like, you have to. And I think, as long as, like, if it was me, I would do it for free. Like, if you paid for my food, if you helped me with lodging so I could at least survive and live a life, I'd do it for free. And that's the people that we need in there. We need more of the everyday people who actually understand what it's like to live in the real world and what, small as they may be, gas prices, food prices, who that actually applies to. Because like Chad said, some of these like big politicians, the cost of gas doesn't apply to them. Like it doesn't. They make so much money, it doesn't matter. Like you can raise it as much as you want, and their life will not change at all. So I hope, Chad. I hope, and I think we're getting closer. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I feel like with this kind of thing, there's like an unstoppable force needs to meet an immovable object, and that's kind of I feel like what we're heading to. And maybe that's a kind of a scary analogy, maybe a little bit of a dark analogy, but I think that's like correct. I mean, we have this progressive movement that's just been gaining steam for probably longer than people think. I mean, it's been going on for probably I'd say at least a decade or more. This is kind of gaining steam. And it just so happens that the right times, maybe the right actions by certain politicians have created this environment where it can kind of flourish, and even they don't freaking know what to do with it. Like, how did it's almost engulfing the people who created this movement. That's why you're seeing some of them get canceled, like Como's brother, the damn. I guess he's on what, CNN or something like that, or he's on
Chris
one of those damn. Yeah, he's on something, and he helped his brother like cover up those sexual assaults, and it's almost engulfing them. So I hope that the monster that is this, whatever, I don't even know what to call it starts to engulf the people who actually created it, so we can start getting back to a nice, civil, logical, understanding country where we can all come together and actually get things done, and look across the aisle and make a difference. So some of these elections, it's not just governors, Chad. I got more for you, my friend. I got some, the House, the Senate, Congress. That's going to be probably play the largest role as far as how things go, especially within the Biden, the Biden presidency that we're in I think we're almost a year in. I don't know. It feels like a decade. That's going to get us through a lot of that. So very important there. Some key states, again, California, with all the people moving out of California and the people who are still there are kind of like sick of this bullshit. I hope they start to see the other side and kind of open the veil, so to speak, and change their mind a little bit how they choose to spend their votes. California, Colorado. I think Colorado is kind of a teetering state that could possibly, due to, especially with like the marijuana industry and all these very high profitable taxes that could be used to not give to people just for free and actually put it back into, the state itself. I think Colorado is pretty close to switching over to red. Florida, of course. We got Georgia, of course. Nevada, which we talked about. Arizona, which is one French fry away from being a Republican state. Pennsylvania, the same thing. North Carolina, Wisconsin. A lot of states, Chad, are up for re-election in the Senate, both with Republicans and Democrats. So all those states weren't necessarily one or the other, but a mixture of both that could really shape some tides as far as how things go within the next 3 to 4 years until this presidency is up.
Well, I will be hoping and sending good vibes and praying, and I'm going to burn sage. I don't give a damn what it is. I'm going to do what I can to help make sure that I am supportive of getting us back to balance. I'm not asking that we eradicate the left. I'm not asking for anything like that. I want balance because ideas need to have balance, and we're not in a balanced place at the moment. You can't even share certain ideas without the threat of being canceled. So I hope that we see that these states and these key seats do end up flipping to balance. But then again, we're talking about possibly becoming Republican. And as I mentioned, that 80 House Republicans voted for the vaccine infrastructure bill. So I'm not overly excited about the possibility that every one of those Republican seats, if they were to get them, would actually be for the interest of the people. I think that it's more of a game of shadows, I think so. But anyway, that's pretty much what I got for the show. I really haven't had a whole lot of opportunities to go over too much. But I think this one could be a great one to have a continuation for Hell Came With Them 2. And possibly Hell Came With Them 3. Because I think with this upcoming election, that's going to be it. It's Hell's coming with it. It really does seem like it's going to be like if this is going to have to be the one that decides the future of our country. So
this year we need to have a watch party, Chad. We talked about having a watch party last year for the presidential election due to our time constraints and schedules we didn't get to. We need to do a little watch party, a little live watch party for a little bit for the viewers and get this, especially for our own state election. I mean, I'm sure there's a multitude of different elections going on in 2022. Not all of the states that I mentioned are I think all the ones I did say are in 2022, there's a lot that actually happened in 2023, the year after, and then also 2024. But predominantly, there's a lot more in 2022. So to give some, it's for me, election year is special. I just get excited. I can feel it in my body now. So maybe Chad and I will have a little election party for you guys, so we can look at some of what's going on and look at some of the, especially in Florida, where the counties go and what we think is going to happen and what really pans out. I think that everyone might actually enjoy that a little bit.
I'm in for it.
I'm in for it. Definitely.
All right. Well, I got to go. Otherwise, Joshua's going to win this bet, and I have it in me that he's not going to win the bet. So I would say that keep your eyes out and stay tuned for a continuation, possibly series of Hell Came With Them, because there's a lot riding on the line. I think we'll be able to expose more over time, give different insights on it. So, all right, Joshua, you got anything else before we close up?
No, just have a great week. I didn't give you guys one Easter egg. I know I told you. I'm going to save it for next time, so you guys have to watch. I'm going to tell you a way that you can make 9% on your money you have right now in the bank without virtually no risk. So if you come back, I'll tell you on a very secret that a lot of people don't know. Kind of it's crypto based. So yeah, look for that next episode. I'm going to teach you guys a little bit about that very simple thing that everyone can do, as opposed to getting 0.009% interest keeping your money in the bank. I can tell you that you can get 9% now on what the money you have in the bank to virtually no risk. You just let it sit there. So I hope you all have a great week. Chad and I are happy to be back. We're going to try to put more videos out. I think the weekdays are Chad and I's kind of longest day, but sometimes they're more convenient as far as what we have going on. So we're going to get back much more on a consistent schedule and get some more video guys out to you guys. And of course, as things kind of move into election year, Chad and I will probably be doing some things as far as what we initially do with Ron DeSantis' campaign. I'd love to get some videos of people and just listening to people what say and what they think about what's going on, just people around. So, tune in, stay golden. As always, keep your head down. Tomorrow's Friday, and have a great week. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Well, as Joshua says, stay golden, pony boy. Got that part there. Well, and as I always say, remember, we're Americans. We need to act like it. It's not a time for division. It's a time for unity. But sometimes you just got people to see from your perspective as well. And the left's done a really good job of that. We need to push back to center with everything. So balance is key. All right. That's all I got for today. This is your host, Sir Chad Broshears. This is oh shit. This is Waking the People. Yeah, I know. Well, I've been making.
I need a jar. I need a jar. Every time you say it, I want you to put $1 in the jar, and that comes to me at the end of the year. So
$1
in the damn jar.
Hey, I have been making a lot of content on that channel. So, all right. So, Waking the People with my co-host, Joshua, the man that even Prince would sing about, McClendon, giving the Princess Diana wave out. Well, from us to you, good night, Patriots.